Continue the class on the gore skirt. We are going to be cutting on the fabric. Notice I kept the selvage edges of the fabric together because you'll be cutting 2 gores each time you cut. Straighten your fabric to make sure that the edges are straight here. All right, you get your meter stick and you do a straight line. So that's my straight line you can see there. And I'm now going to line the pattern up onto the fabric. Now this has to be done correctly so the gores will fall properly. Keep your selvage edges together like this. Then you're going to measure at the hem 21 centimeters from your center line and from the edge of your selvage. Now remember, when you are sewing the garment, you cut the selvage off because your selvage edge is more tightly woven than the rest of the fabric. So we need to cut it off instead of keep it on the garment. So I get my 21 there, and then I'm going to do the same thing at the waist from line F, which is the center line, and get my 21 to the edge of your selvage. Now once that is done, then your pattern should be straight. Okay, so I'm going to pin the waist in place as well. So I make sure everything is good there, and then I continue pinning. Remember, when you pin, your garment must still be lying flat. There shouldn't be any pull on the garment. So I pin at my hip. Now this same pattern can be used for different sizes. You just take it in on your center line, folding the center line to the size you want. So you keep your selvage edges of your fabric together when you're going to be cutting, because we need 8, so we're cutting 2 gores each time. I'm making sure this is pinned properly because I do not want any movement when I'm cutting. Now I've pinned it on, so I will cut. Follow your pattern. Okay, we're going to cut up at the side. The waist. I'm going to cut across here. You're going to come down. Now when you cut the first 2, you're going to keep the pattern onto this and use this one to cut each one. Remember, we need 8 gores. So we're going to do this 4 times. Do not take the pins out and do not remove the pattern. So you take it up and you put it on in this direction to give you the next 2. Okay. Again, we're going to make sure the pattern is placed straight on the fabric. We use the center line. This is the center line, and we're going to take it now from the fold side. So whatever this measures here, this is fine here. So I'll use it at the top as well. So this gives me 25.5. So it means that up here must be the same 25.5 if it's lined up properly. I'll bring it over a little bit so I can get my 25.5. Okay, and that's good. Now do not remove the pins from this one. Use some different pins to hold it. and put the pins in the, across instead of straight like that, so you'll know which pins to take out when you're taking it off to cut the next set. So we put the pins in across instead of straight. Good. So we're going to cut across. Okay, so it means that now I have 4 pieces, so I need to do 2 more sets like this. So I take out the pins that I put across. So here I can take this one off, which is the one I'm using for cutting, and then I'll have these 2 folded together like that. Put it over there. Bring your fabric up, keeping your selvage edges together, and we're going to do the next set. So we bring the fabric up on the table. All right. Now, if the persons have a very high bottom, we tend to give them a little extra on the back pieces. And for the center back, where the zipper will go, we're going to add our zip allowance. Remember, the seam allowance is just 1.5, so we need to have the zip allowance, which is 4 centimeters. So here at the selvage, I am going to do the back, so I'm going to put the zip allowance on. So I go again and make sure I have my 21, so it's on properly, it's not off. And up here is good. So my center line should be straight. Okay. Now once that is done, I'm going to put the zip allowance on. And your seam allowance is 1.25, so to get the 4, we overlap the 1.25 and mark it at the 4 centimeters. We normally use 4 centimeters for the zipper. We use a 20 centimeter zipper, 18 zipper, so we're going to mark at 23. So we draw a straight line here, and then you curve it around like that. So when we cut, we're going to cut in and follow here, go down, right? And then the extra amount will be at the waist for the zipper to go in. Okay, now that is marked, the zip allowance is put on. I'm going to pin again. Okay, so we hold in place. And I'm going to put at the back two centimeters on this back piece, because the bottom, my bottom is a little higher. When I put the skirt on, I don't want the back to go up. This is going to be now. This is the center back with your zip allowance on it. Okay. I'm going to mark so you remember the 4 centimeters for your zipper so you don't run in any trouble, because the seam allowance are just 1.25. You have to remember that. Alright, so the seam allowance are 1.25. We are doing the freehand cutting, so we clip the important points when we are marking. Alright, so I have now done 6 pieces. I have just one more piece to do. I'm just pinning this point and marking where the zipper will stop, you see. And that's important that you mark it. Alright, that point is very important. Alright, so this is the center back. We're going to bring the fabric over so we can do the last 2 pieces. Okay. So these will be the last 2 pieces. Remember, again, we make sure our line is straight. Check from your center point and make sure it is straight. And I'll put the extra on the back. We're going to use these as the back pieces. Alright. Pin again. So these are going to be the last 2 pieces needed. Now when I'm cutting, I cut on the wrong side so we don't have to wonder which side is the wrong side when we are assembling. Especially if you're working on a plain fabric like this, where it's hard to determine the wrong from the right. Cut on the wrong side so you know exactly that is what you're using. this is your last two, so we have now cut 8 pieces. Once you cut the 8 pieces, you can remove your paper. I'm going to keep them in pairs because I do not want them to, I would love to match the pairs together. So I'm taking off the paper, but I'll still keep them in pairs. Alright, so this pattern can be kept and it can be used for any size you want. So that's 2 together here. That's 2 together here. Those 4 are the front pieces. These 4 are the back pieces. I mentioned earlier on that you can, if you're making it for a smaller person, you just fold on your center line like that. And it automatically comes into the size that you want. See? You can just fold that off. You get a smaller pattern. So once you do, you can use this for anyone. If you want for a bigger person, you put it on and just add equal amount, which gives you their measurement. If you want longer, you extend it. Remember, if you want it narrow, you cut it narrow, and you get a narrow gore at the hemline. So this pattern can be changed and can be used for any size. So once you make a pattern like this, you can actually put it up and keep using it. Alright, so we need to cut the band for the skirt. And you can put interfacing in. If you're doing the interfacing, which is the same thing you call pellon, then you cut it 8 centimeters. If you're going to do the stiffness without the interfacing, you can cut it 16 centimeters, and you will get it a little firmer. Alright, so the band is going to be, waist measurement is 104 centimeters. We add 4 to that, so we're going to get 108. 108. Okay, so that's going to hit with the band. And on the fold, we're going to measure 8 centimeters, and that's going to give us 2.5 finished centimeters or 1 inch finished band, if we're using the inches. So we draw the line so we can cut straight. So we're going to draw the line here to give us our band. Now it's best to cut your band on the straight grain that is along your selvage. Unfortunately, this selvage area is too small, so I have to take it on the cross grain. The cross grain of the fabric tends to stretch more than the straight grain. So that's why we tend to cut the band on the straight grain. It's easier to work with. We have it. So this is a band for the skirt. Alright, so what we have just cut is the flare gore skirt. Thanks for watching. Now we will go on to the assembling of the skirt.